All right, guys, as promised, here's part 2 of the breakdown of that PowerMac G3. That's right, we had a PowerMac G3 horizontal, whatever you guys want to call it. We took it apart. Get rid of these gold pins. We're going to take the tantalum, we're going to cherry pick those off because we don't want to destroy the way they look, because the buyer will not buy them if they can't not recognize them as tantalum. But these gold pins are really nice. Not all gold pins are equal, but I tell you what, these are through pin design, so I don't want to flush cut them off at the board. You'll leave gold behind. So we're going to cherry pick those. We're going to pop this guy into that easy bake oven, just like you've seen on my other video on how to depopulate slot cards, and it'll knock all them surface mounts off and everything else, and those pins will come out. We're going to detach the plastic casing from those pins first, and we won't have to deal with that. I learned my lesson. These pins are not exactly as equal. They do not go all the way through. You can see that they're very nice, but they don't go all the way through. So I'm going to take my flush cutter and I'm going to cut them off after I remove that plastic off of that board. It won't, there we go. Hey, I tell you what, we upgraded to high definition and I'm having issues with my camera. So anyways, what else? We're going to depopulate this power board too, absolutely. And you're going to see some more gold pins right here. These are going to be easy pins. There it again, going to be a through pin design. And you can see them going right through the board. There it is. And yeah, they're really nice, rich pins. So we're going to get those off. There's some other surface mount stuff on the backside we're also going to want to get a hold of. So we're going to go and we're going to get these boards prepped and we're going to pop them in that easy bake oven. And while we're doing that, we'll get to that motherboard. All right, so we got those boards prepped for the easy bake oven there. Pretty much what do I mean about prepping them? Basically, you're going to take off all of them aluminum capacitors. That's right, I throw them in my pop cans. I talk to my yard, you talk to your yard. But you're going to get off all the stuff that you don't want to go all melty on you. There's not much value there when a brass screw. We'll throw that in our brass pile, but that's going to go in our junk pile. And basically, so they're cleaned off. I took the tantalum off there because I didn't want to lose track of them. And basically, these are going to be ready to go into that easy bake oven. And I tell you what, it's all about figuring out how to maximize your time. We're going to put them in. Yeah, there's nothing really on the back, so this process is pretty nice for these guys. You just slide them in there, watch your fingers. Make sure if you guys are doing this, make sure you have some ventilation or whatever else. You're not going to want to breathe that smell in. It gets all melty and you don't want to breathe that melty in. So we're going to set it and forget it. We're going to put them in there a little bit. And if you look, I've raised it all the way to the top. I have it on 450 for all you guys. That's right. The solder will melt at that temperature. I have it on bake and I have it on stay on. So while those are going, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to put those in our pop can and we're going to start going over that power board to see what we can take off that power board to maximize our profit from this venture. All right, and for everybody that skipped ahead to part 2, here we are. This is the power board, or the power board that came out of the power supply. It has all sorts of goodies and things to be had. It sure does. I mean, at first glance, it doesn't look like much, but I tell you what, throw this in your junk steel and you're going to give up a lot of different stuff. You're looking at aluminum. This is going to be a sheet aluminum. Sometimes it's extruded aluminum. You talk to your junkyard and figure out how much they'll pay you for it. But don't put it in with your pop cans because you're going to regurgitate it because you're going to get a lot less for it. It is a lot more valuable than a pop can. Collect them up. They do add up and it will pay out a pretty penny eventually. I know everybody says it's not worth it, but I do. These are going to be copper bearing transformers right here. You can see them. There's a lot of green tape on them. They're a bugger to get into, but you can whack-a-do them with the hammer and you can give it a shot. Otherwise, I put them in with stuff like this. That was the center of that fan, and bring it in, and I ask my scrapyard what they'll give me for it. They say 10 cents. I laugh, they laugh, and then we really talk about what they're going to give me for it. I know you guys are going to see these copper Tolaroids all around here. Yeah, they're copper donuts. They're everywhere. They're everywhere, man. And you just go and you crack them with your hammer, and that ferrite will break out of there. You can throw that in your steel pile because it is considered steel, and you have copper number 2 right there. What else is going to be on the board? Well, I know everybody's going to see these IC chips. Yes, they're there. I'm not sure what their contents are, but I'm not going to pass them up. I'm going to put them in my process. What else do we see? Well, we see these MOSFETs. You see them hooked up to all your different heat sinks. They're over here. These little black packages usually have 3 legs. There's another one right here, and another guy right here. Those are going to have copper in them. Yes, absolutely. Some scrapyards will try to argue with it, and if you don't waste your time standing there arguing, find a different scrapyard to bring them to, because they are valuable and they do hold some valuable metals inside of them. What else? You're going to see these 3-leg transistor packs right here. That's right. They'll have gold inside of them, and I keep them. I take them, I put them in my IC process because, yes, I'm a batch processor, and it doesn't make sense for me to do a yield process. One day on this channel, we will get there, but right now, for my business, I do batch processing. Okay, so what else are you going to see? You're going to see disc capacitors right here. They're ceramic. They're going to have silver in them, especially the older they are. I'm not going to throw them away. I keep all of them, and I run them through a batch process. You're going to see some glass barrel resistors right here, or diodes, whatever that is. I can't see the board, but hey, they exist and they may potentially have a little bit of gold in them. You'll see them all over the board. Don't pass them up. You're going to see some diodes back there by that screwdriver, and I collect those up too because they potentially can have some silver. You're going to see some more of them little electrolytic capacitors right here. These guys, I crack them off, I take them, I put them in with my pop cans, I talk to my scrapyard, and I bring them there and they give me that. These are the ends of the copper wire. Yes, there was a bunch of copper wire on the back of that. That's going to be copper number 2 insulated wire. Number 2 insulated wire, whatever your scrapyard talks to you about it. This is going to be a relay switch. It's going to have a little silver, a little dab of silver on a bit of copper, so it's going to have some copper number 2, and it's going to have a little bit of silver in there. Do not pass it up. There's going to be a fuse right here. Most of the time they have silver, sometimes they have gold, and these contacts are probably going to have some silver on them, so I take them as well. I don't know what's going to be in those white boxes right there, but hey, we're going to research into that a little bit more because there's a few of them on this board. You're going to see some more of those disc capacitors right here. They're black, and they're going to go into my process. You'll see this guy right back here. It's a dusty guy. It's akin to a MOSFET. It has a bunch of copper, and it may potentially have some gold in there, so we're not going to give that up. So yeah, that right there is already some free gold out of a power supply that you were just going to walk by and leave on the road. That's right. And now we have this drive. This hard drive right here is a 4 gig Quantum Fireball 3.5 series. A lot of people are interested in things like that, so I don't think we're going to crack that guy open. Hey, but if anybody's interested in that, then let me know. What else do we have? We're going to have this slot card. This slot card is just beautiful. I just can't bring myself to destroy this slot card. I'm sorry. Yes, some people think I'm naive and everything else, and that's fine, but I'm not going to get rid of this, but we'll run through it. It is stacked with tantalum. Every single orange and yellow block you see right there is tantalum capacitors. Why? Well, it has a C on the board, and it's in the shape and the color of tantalum. They come in all different shapes, sizes, and orientations, but the square block ones are pretty easy to identify. This is also going to have some IC chips on there. There's some flat packs. Every one of those legs in a flat pack represents a gold bond wire. You're going to see some really nice thicker plated gold fingers on the bottom. Yeah, the more vintage it is, the thicker the plating is going to be, and there's going to be some gold inside of that connector right there, and there's going to be some more gold pins right there. It's a beautiful card. There is nothing on the back side of it because most of the time they won't have room in computers to fill up both sides. But hey, this is a beautiful thing, and yes, this right here may be worth something to somebody, so I am not going to do nothing with that guy right there but put him up there. We're waiting for our boards to get all melty, and they're starting to look like they're doing their job. So what else do we have here while we're running through? Well, this came off the back of that zip drive, and yeah, I pulled the pins from it, and this is what's left, and we're going to put this in our melty thing over there, and we're going to pull it off. There's not much on the back of it. I try to make sure I clean the back side off because that's just going to melt to your pan. We're going to run that through the process, and it's going to knock all that surface mount stuff off of there, and I'll be able to retrieve it and put it in my process. Easy peasy, simple as that. No joke. In fact, the whole time we've been talking, that's almost done. What else do we got here? Well, these are the pins that we pulled out of here. I decided to take them off the boards because they are going all the way through. Now I put that in my process, and look, yeah, you can see where the gold stops on those, or maybe the solder is covering it. I have no idea, but when I drop that into my stock pot, all the gold is going to be taken off of those pins, and they'll dissolve right out of that plastic. Why waste your time sitting there any longer taking it out of the plastic? Unless you want to figure out an exact yield on them, that's not up to me. You can Google those and numbers and figure that out, but hey, for me, my bang for my buck, it just makes more sense to just leave them in there. And I may pull these out because I know that plastic is going to shroud some, but I'm pretty sure I'm just going to cut this end off here. I'm not sure if you see the connectors that go right into the board, if those are going to be copper or gold. I think they're going to be copper, but hey, doesn't matter. They exist and they're there. So I'm going to clean this guy up a little bit so we have a little less plastic inside of our stock pot, but there. And then we have these. These are not the ones that came out of this computer. They represent this computer. The ones that came out of this computer, in fact, right here, I pulled them out of all those connectors for you guys because a lot of people see the RAM sticks and the CPUs and they're like, that's not a lot of gold. But hey, when you guys pass up those ribbon cables and you just put them in your number 2 wire, you are leaving a lot of gold behind, especially in vintage computers. I mean, I can't stress enough, do not leave this stuff behind. I can't tell you guys enough that this is free G3 gold. It exists and it's there, and it is everywhere. It is everywhere, and I just don't know how to tell you guys that eventually that adds up. I tell you what, if you pick up a pop can and save it for aluminum, each one of those little pins represents a pop can, and it will pay for itself, I promise. You save those up, you collect those, you put those in your process. We have a few little tantalum right here, only because I have not taken the ones off of there. I will put them in my tantalum container, and like I said, I sell them off. I try to keep them as recognizable as I can so that the people who buy them will want to buy them. I cannot access them with the acids or the process I have, and I'm smart enough to know that I can get more value out of those if I send them out. That's another way you can get money. Utilize what you guys have and figure out what you guys are going to do. And we're looking at this. We're going to come back to this, but let's check on these boards and see what they're going to do. I need to get gloves on and we'll come right back. All right, so we got those cards in the Easy Bake Oven over here, so we're going to take them out and see what's happening. Chances are they're getting pretty close to being done. I take one out at a time. Yeah, they're dropping all the melty plastic off of here, so don't breathe this stuff in, and they are hot when they come out. But I tell you what, there is nothing better than this process right here. If you guys haven't seen the full-length video, give it a shot. Look at that. Everything surface mount just comes right off of that board. And it's much easier when you have two hands. I tell you what, I did this one-handed last time for you guys, and now I'm doing it two-handed. Look at that. The board is almost perfectly clean. It doesn't have anything left on it, and all you had to do was leave it in there for the length of time that you were working on other computer stuff. It's very clean. Can't complain. Absolutely. Easy Bake Oven all the way. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to put this off to the side because we don't want to spill it, and we're going to look at this at the very end to see what we actually collected. And what are we going to do? Well, first, everybody's talking about the Ram sticks and everything else. And yeah, the Ram sticks are nice. They're fun. You know, you see a lot of them. People are like, well, you can't make a living off of Ram sticks. Well, I've seen people actually make a living off of Ram sticks. You would be really surprised. I'm not sure what's going to be on that card. There's a little copper here. There might be a little gold in there. I'm not going to pass it up. There's some small IC chips and surface mounted stuff on the back of it. That is definitely a card that you're going to want to pop those off if you put them in your Easy Bake Oven, and we'll probably do that later on in a process. But it doesn't show nothing else on that card, so it's not really I don't know. I don't know what the card is for, but I'm sure there's a lot of people. But hey, I tell you what, there's a lot of gold pins inside there. They're very rich, very nice, and very clean looking. What else are we going to have? Well, we have this SD RAM. It's old school RAM. It's not like your regular RAM. Some of them actually have silver on them. This guy is going to have some nice looking gold on the bottom of them. I tell you what, those RAM with the IC chips on them, you can't beat them. They're better than any other kind of RAM except for, you know, the BGA RAM. I mean, I guess, hey, what? You know, there's a big debate about SD RAM versus BGA RAM. So if you guys have any information on that, why don't you drop a comment below and let us know. A lot of people read these comments. But anyways, so this is going to go over in my RAM collection. I have no idea. I bet that's vintage, and I bet somebody would want that. What else? I don't know what this guy is. You know, you guys let me know. Let me know what this guy is here. I have no idea what this belongs to. If this is another version of RAM. It says Wrath ROM on it, 1997. So yeah, I suppose it's a random kind of memory. But either way, here it is. That's a card. It has gold. It does exist. It has a few very nice IC chips on it, and that will be good for gold recovery if that's where that ends up. So there's the RAM sticks, and there's the extra sticks and all the extras in here. And now we're going to have the CPU. Yeah, that's right. We got the CPU here. I haven't looked at it. I like to do things as much on camera as I can. Let's see. Usually they have a heat sink, and underneath that heat sink is going to be it. But if you push down on one of these clips, usually you can get it to pop up pretty nicely if you do it properly. Let's see. There it goes. So you push that down and it comes up. And this heat sink right here is going to be aluminum. You guys are going to want to keep this. You're going to want to take anything extra off, like the steel, this screw, so on and so forth. And this is going to be what I was talking about, extruded aluminum. It looks like it came out of a die. They'll pay you a lot more money per pound for this. Don't get rid of it for less than what it is actually valued. That's the CPU heat sink right there. And here's the CPU. I've never seen one like this. but this is just me personally. I haven't came across one yet. It's very beautiful though. Hey, like I don't know what this is going to hold inside of this, so if any of you guys can give me any information on that, that would be great. But there's going to be a couple flat packs right here that are super cool. You're going to have a couple capacitors on there and a bunch of MLCCs, and in fact, because of the age and the vintage, I'm willing to bet those MLCCs are actually going to contain precious metals. What else does it have? Well, look on the back side of that, guys. Yeah, you know, you guys complain about this and that, and there's not that much gold, but look at those pins. Those pins are very nice. And you'll take a heat gun, you'll put a heat to the back of this guy, all this stuff will fall off, and this stuff will come off. You can put it in your easy bake oven and do the same. But I think I'm going to keep this for my collection right now. Because I'm rather impressed by it. Kind of had me stopped in my tracks, because I mean, I don't see them all the time. Normally you find ones, and in fact nowadays they're not even near this. But anyways, that's a really nice CPU. I'm super excited about it, and I'm going to keep this as it is. What are we going to do with this motherboard? Well, at this point in time, this motherboard really isn't worth nothing to me. I know people are like, hey, I could still use that, but I tell you what, you see that void if seal is broken? I'm sorry. This computer is now void. It's no longer worth anything to me. I won't resell it anyways because I'm not trying to wreck any kind of seller's rating. You guys are going to see tons of tantalum on here, so we're going to crack the tantalum off and we're going to add those to our pile. And then we're going to see if we can't put this in our easy bake oven and depopulate the sucker. All right, so we got the motherboard. We got it all cleaned off. We cherry picked what we were going to want off of there right away. We got all the tantalum, everything else. And I know you guys are going to see this and be like, hey, Scrooge, that's tantalum. No, it has an R next to the board, so it is not tantalum. Tantalum does come in those packages, and they do look a lot like that, but this is not tantalum. It is a resistor. This socket is definitely going to have some gold. All these things are going to have some gold, so I'm super excited to see how the easy bake oven is going to work on this. Make sure I did remove the battery when I prepped for this board, and I did get rid of all the capacitors off the board so they don't explode inside there. But I'm also super excited to see about that chip and what's happening there. So let's get this in that easy bake oven and let's get that going. All right, so while we're waiting for that in the easy bake oven, let's talk about hard drives. This is a hard drive that came out of it, and it's an older hard drive, of course. It came from the early 90s. Well, the newer hard drives, they have a lot less gold in them and a lot less stuff and activities to be had. But I tell you what, if you look close enough, you're going to find those gold rim ceramic things that I like so much, and I collect those up. They're going to have a little less gold in them because these pins are flat and they're not as good as these guys right here. They're not going to have as much goodies on the board either, but hey, this guy right here has got to be worth something to somebody at this moment. If I don't hear from anybody recently or anytime soon on this, then that will go the way of the rest of the computer. I'm sorry. And we're going to bring this guy out. Yeah, I left him in here for a minute too long, but that's okay. We're going to figure it out. We're going to dump all this out. Yeah, it's smoking, but look at all that stuff just come right off. That's right. All those gold pins and everything are going to be stuck right in there. And it comes right off the board. Super easy. None of them melted. So that's great. And it comes right off the board. Yeah, it's a little hot, but you deal with it. Hey, it's pretty easy to get all this stuff off if you just do it this way. And look at all those chips are falling right off. Everything. There goes the CPU socket. All that stuff. Just easy peasy and beautiful. The solder's trying to seize back up. But I tell you what, if you fight against it and you rush, you can make it. You can get it. Ugh. See, I left a couple pins behind, but hey, we'll get those off the board. But I tell you what, this is a surefire way to get your boards clean of all the different pins and connectors and everything. It just works nice. There's a couple pins left. Either you can run it back through there or you can clip them off as you see fit. It's not so bad. The solder is wanting to seize back up because it just happens that way. But I tell you what, you run that board back through your process there and you get the rest of those gold pins off, and that's a perfect way to clean your board. What do you do with this board? Well, I'm going to set it aside with all the other boards, and we're going to figure out a way to get stuff out of it. I know there's going to be a little more gold in these connections through these through pins. You can see it right here. Plus, there's going to be some copper and stuff to be had on this board. There's not a lot of it, but hey, while you already have it in this state, in this process, why don't you continue to do it? All right, so we're going to put that back over there. And we're going to look at our spoils. Well, we got a lot of stuff. I mean, these CPUs are going to have a lot of stuff inside of them that people don't even think about. So I tell you what, I'm going to let this stuff cool down. We're going to come back to it here in a second, and we're going to dig into it. All right, so here we are. I didn't have enough time to be able to take apart all the pins out of everything, but from what I did get, this is representation of what just came out of just that computer, and there's so many more pins to be had. I'm not joking. People think that the only thing that's in computers for gold are RAM sticks, but you're missing out on so much more gold, guys. I'll get the rest of the pins taken out of here off camera, and I will get a weight for you guys, and I'll tell you what that is, and maybe we'll be able to figure out a yield. You really can't, because every pin is a little different. But yeah, everybody's looking at the CPU. That's super nice. That's going to have a lot of gold inside that chip and those chips there, and it's going to be really nice MLCCs. And look at those pins, are just beautiful. That's right. And we still got tons of gold pins. Tons of gold pins. All those pins only came from those ribbon cables and these two connectors here for a demonstration. Otherwise, that's still just stacked full of gold pins. What else? Well, you have the power supply we talked about with the copper and aluminum and everything else. Here's another aluminum heat sink for your stack. That's right. Don't pass that up. You got your copper bearing motor from your fan. You'll find more of these in newer gaming style computers. But yeah, and look at all the flat packs and the ICs and stuff. Hey, look at this little chip right here. Is this a Motorola? I'm not sure if it's a Motorola, but it's a lot like it. It's a Northbridge? I can't remember. Anyways, so it's a BGA. It's definitely going to have some gold inside there. It's ceramic, so it's going to go in my ceramic process, not with the plastic chips. But you're going to see these gold corner BGAs, and I tell you what, there's a lot of gold to be had in these guys. Yep, and even on the backside, there's a little gold. You'll take that daub off the top of it, and you'll incinerate it and put it in your process. This is going to have pretty decent amount of gold. This is actually where you find a majority of your gold. I know everybody thinks it's in the RAM sticks, but no, it's hidden gold inside the chips. And all these flat packs are going to be the same. Every one of these wires on this flat pack represents a gold bond wire that goes to the center of the die inside of here. And it's beautiful. These chips are absolutely beautiful. And there are a lot of them. Like I said, these are going to go in with my ceramic CPU process. What other kind of goodies do we have? Well, we have some tantalum, that's for sure. We got a nice little stack of tantalum, and there's tons of more tantalum on that slot card. But I tell you what, I'm not going to muck with that yet. I'm not sure what I ran into with these guys. I think they're a form of an old school transistor or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you guys know what they are, or if they have any metals inside, drop a comment below, please. These guys right here, I learned that when they have little numbers, like what they, I don't know what those are. Those are going to stick out to me, so I'm going to put them in their own little pile, and I see a bunch of them, and I'm going to keep them. What else do we have? We have these guys. I think these are an old school gold band oscillator of some kind, or a silver oscillator. I don't know. You guys let me know. There's a little bit of ribbon cable that may have some silver. We're going to put it in our silver process and do some tests. You're going to have your normal silver crystal oscillators you see everywhere. They're a bugger to get into, but they do exist, and they do hold some silver. You're going to have some aluminum from your hard drive here. Yep, this is going to be aluminum. Then you throw it in your cast. You're going to have a little gold on this reed head, but we'll break those down more in a micro scrapping process. What else? Well, yeah, you're going to have your number 2 insulated wire. Make sure you remove those plugins. Don't pass up that gold, guys. And what else? Well, we got that slot card. That slot card is absolutely beautiful. That is one thing we're saving out of here next to the hard drive. We're also saving this hard drive, and we're going to keep those 2 up here, and we'll leave them off to the side. And hey, I may get a phone call from somebody saying, hey, Scrooge, I want those. And I'm going to be like, great, absolutely. So is it wrong to tear down an old relic like that? Well, I tell you what, I got plenty of gold out of it for me. I had a lot of fun making this video. If you guys learned something new, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe. For all my subscribers, thank you very much. We're knocking on that door at 900. We're going to be cruising through into 1,000 in no time. Absolutely. Was it worth it to me? Yeah, you bet your sweet P.P.E. it was worth it to me. Every minute that it took to make this video, I had a fun time, and I'm also getting a bunch of free gold. So if you guys want to learn how to get your free gold, go check out my other videos. I'll show you how to make your own stock pot. We'll show you how to process your material, and I'll even show you how to sell it at the end. So that's right. For my wife, I love you, and for my kids, go wash your face.